Welcome to Fluent Verse, where words become wings and voices find their rhythm. Imagine this: you walk into a room full of people speaking English, their sentences flow effortlessly, their laughter rolls with confidence, their ideas sparkle in conversation, and for a moment, you just listen, wishing that could be you. Wishing you could speak like that, freely, naturally, without thinking of grammar or translation or whether your accent sounds right. If you've ever felt that mix of admiration and frustration, this video is for you. Because today, we're not just learning how to speak English fluently, we're learning how to become fluent in confidence, in rhythm, in expression, and in the courage to sound like yourself, but in English. You see, fluency isn't just about speaking fast. It's about speaking freely. It's the moment when your ideas and your language dance together, when you stop chasing perfection and start chasing connection. And believe me, it's not something that belongs only to native speakers or genius learners. It belongs to you too, if you're willing to put in the work, not for a day, not for a week, but for the kind of journey that transforms you. Because fluency is not a destination. It's a habit. It's a way of living with the language every single day until English stops being a foreign language and becomes your second skin. Think about it: when a baby learns to speak, they don't start with grammar books or vocabulary lists. They start with listening. They absorb sound, rhythm, and tone long before they understand meaning. They repeat. They make mistakes. They babble. But they never stop trying. That's the mindset you need. Somewhere along the way, adults lose that bravery. We become afraid of mistakes, afraid of sounding wrong. But fluency doesn't grow from fear, it grows from fearless practice. If you can speak with confidence, even when you make mistakes, your progress will explode faster than someone who speaks perfectly but rarely opens their mouth. So, let's make a promise today. No more waiting for the perfect moment to start speaking. No more saying I'll speak when my grammar is better. You start now, imperfectly, boldly, and consistently. Because every fluent speaker you admire was once exactly where you are, stuck between what they wanted to say and what they could say. The only difference is that they kept speaking anyway. Let me tell you a story. A student of mine, Anna, came to me once with tears in her eyes. She said, "I understand everything, but when I try to speak, my mind goes blank." Sound familiar? It's one of the most common struggles intermediate learners face. You know the words, you know the grammar, but when it's time to speak, your thoughts freeze. Why? Because fluency lives in a different part of the brain than knowledge. You can memorize 1,000 words and still struggle to speak if you never train your brain to produce English in real time. So with Anna, we didn't study more grammar. We spoke. Every day. For 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. She spoke to herself, to her reflection, to her phone, to her dog. And one day, she came back and said, "Something changed. I stopped translating." That's the magic moment. When English starts coming out naturally, without that inner translator whispering in your native language first. How do you reach that moment? You train it. Like a muscle. You speak even when you don't feel ready. You push past the awkward silence. You learn to think in English by forcing your brain to stay there, describing your day in English, talking to yourself about what you're doing, or even arguing with yourself in English about what movie to watch tonight. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to make English the default language of your thoughts. Once you start doing that, fluency isn't far behind. Now, here's something most learners get wrong. They think that to speak fluently, they need a massive vocabulary. Not true. You don't need to know 10,000 words. You need to know how to use the few thousand you already have, flexibly, comfortably, confidently. Fluency is not about how many words you know, it's about how quickly and smoothly you can use them. A native speaker uses maybe 3,000 words in daily life, but they use them like magic. So stop chasing more and start using what you already know. Repeat them in different sentences, combine them in new ways, use them in conversation until they belong to you. Here's a simple exercise you can start today. Pick 5 useful phrases that you often need but can't say quickly. For example, "I'm not sure about that," or "let me think for a second," or "that's a good question." Practice saying them naturally. Not reading them, saying them. Feel the rhythm. Try to use them in your next conversation. You'll notice that the more phrases you can say instantly, the more fluent you'll sound, because real fluency isn't built on isolated words, it's built on connected chunks of language. Another secret of fluency is imitation, the art of shadowing. Watch a short video of a native speaker, it could be a TED Talk, a scene from your favorite show, or a YouTube video, and repeat exactly what they say, at the same time, matching their tone, rhythm, and speed. At first, it'll feel impossible. Your tongue won't keep up, your mouth will feel slow, your brain will scream for help. But after a few sessions, you'll notice something incredible, your pronunciation improves, your speech rhythm becomes more natural, and your confidence soars. Because fluency isn't only about knowing English, it's about sounding comfortable in it. Shadowing helps you do that faster than any textbook ever could. Let's talk about fear. Fear is the biggest enemy of fluency. The fear of being judged, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of sounding silly. But here's the truth, no one cares as much as you think. People admire courage more than perfection. Think about when someone speaks your native language, you don't mock them for mistakes, right? You appreciate their effort. The same is true for you. Every time you speak English, even imperfectly, you're earning respect, not losing it. So the next time fear whispers "don't speak," you'll embarrass yourself. Answer with this: every mistake I make brings me closer to fluency. You have to understand, mistakes aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of learning. You can't fix what you never try. So celebrate your mistakes, they are the footprints of your progress. When you mispronounce a word or forget a phrase, you're not failing, you're practicing. You're building the pathways in your brain that make fluency automatic. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll find yourself in that same room you once feared, speaking, laughing, and thinking in English, and it'll feel like breathing. The other key to fluency is consistency. People always ask, how long will it take to become fluent? The answer depends not on time but on consistency. If you practice English for 10 minutes every day, you'll beat the person who studies for 3 hours once a week. Fluency loves routine. It loves daily contact. Treat English like a living thing, feed it every day. Read a paragraph. Listen to a song. Watch a short video and repeat the lines. Speak to yourself. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. The more often English appears in your daily life, the faster your brain will adopt it as its own. And don't underestimate the power of listening. Listening builds fluency faster than grammar drills ever will. The more you listen, the more your brain absorbs patterns, pronunciation, and rhythm naturally. So fill your world with English sounds, podcasts, movies, YouTube videos, even English songs. Listen actively, not passively. That means sometimes pause, repeat what you hear, mimic the accent, feel how your mouth moves. You're not just learning sounds, you're training your speaking muscles. Remember this, fluency is not a race, it's a rhythm. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, other days you'll stumble on simple words. That's normal. Don't quit when it gets hard, that's when growth happens. Every fluent speaker once stuttered, hesitated, and felt frustrated. What made them fluent wasn't talent, it was persistence. They kept showing up. So keep showing up. Speak, listen, repeat, reflect. Again and again, until your voice feels at home in English. And maybe you're thinking right now, but my accent is too strong. Let me tell you something powerful, your accent is not a problem, it's your story. It shows where you come from. You don't need to erase it to be fluent. You just need clarity. People don't need you to sound British or American, they need you to be understandable. So focus on clear pronunciation, not imitation. Let your accent remind you that you're bilingual, brave, and unstoppable. By now, you might already feel something shifting. You're not just learning English, you're learning to trust yourself. Because fluency is not only about language, it's about identity. It's the confidence to show who you are through another language. It's the courage to say, I might not be perfect, but I can connect. And connection, that's the real goal of language. Now it's time to go deeper, into the space where fluency is born, the space between thought and speech, the place inside your mind where English either flows or freezes. Because real fluency starts not with your mouth, but with your mind. Think about how you use your first language. You never pause to translate. You never wonder which grammar rule fits the situation. You just speak. Your thoughts appear already dressed in words. That's the goal with English too, to make it your thinking language, not just your learning language. The difference between learners who plateau and those who break through to fluency is simple. Fluent thinkers don't wait for words to arrive, they live inside the language. So how do you train your brain to think in English? You start small. The next time you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, I need to get ready for work, say it in English in your head. I need to get ready for work. When you're making coffee, narrate your actions. I'm boiling water. I'm pouring the milk. It feels silly at first, but what you're really doing is rewiring your brain. You're building neural paths that connect your ideas directly to English expressions. Every time you describe your world in English, you're building fluency from the inside out. There's a technique I love called the English bubble. For 1 hour a day, you live entirely in English. Everything you read, hear, or think stays in English, no translations allowed. During that hour, if you don't know a word, describe it using other words instead of switching back to your native language. For example, If you forget the word umbrella, you can say the thing you use when it rains. It trains your mind to stay in English no matter what. Over time, your brain learns that it doesn't need to escape to your native language for help. It can handle everything right here, in English. Another powerful habit is journaling, but not the academic kind with perfect grammar. I'm talking about raw, emotional journaling. At the end of each day, open a notebook and write one page in English about whatever you feel. Don't worry about correctness, focus on clarity. When you write your feelings in English, you build emotional fluency, and emotional fluency leads to natural speech. You start finding your own voice in English, not just repeating textbook lines. And here's the secret: once English becomes part of your thinking, fluency follows almost automatically. You stop hesitating. You stop translating. Sentences begin to appear as whole units, not as individual words you have to glue together. You become faster, freer, more confident. Now let's talk about rhythm, because language has music, and every fluent speaker moves to it. English is a rhythm-based language. It breathes in beats, stresses, and pauses. Listen to native speakers. They don't pronounce every word perfectly, they glide through them, connecting, blending, shortening. What are you doing becomes what you doing. I'm going to becomes I'm gonna. You don't have to sound exactly like that, but you do need to feel the rhythm. Shadowing helps, yes, but so does reading aloud with emotion. Pick a paragraph from a book or article and read it like an actor. Feel the stress, the rise and fall, the emotion behind the words. The more you feel English's sound, not just structure, the more natural your speech becomes. And remember, consistency isn't glamorous, but it's everything. The learners who speak beautifully after a year aren't the ones who studied the hardest in 1 month, they're the ones who showed up every single day. Even on the days when motivation fades, when life feels heavy, when you don't have energy, show up for 5 minutes. Whisper a few lines in English. Read one paragraph. Record one sentence. Because every small act adds up. Fluency rewards persistence. There's a beautiful truth about language: it reflects your energy. When you speak tiredly, your words sound weak. When you speak passionately, they fly. So fill your English practice with emotion. If you love music, sing English lyrics loudly. If you love movies, quote your favorite lines. If you love humor, tell jokes in English, even if you're the only one laughing. Every joyful moment in English makes it more alive inside you. Let me tell you another story. Raj, one of my students, had studied English for 10 years. He knew grammar rules better than many native speakers. But when he spoke, he froze. Every sentence started and stopped halfway. I asked him, "How often do you speak English outside of class?" He said, "Never. I only speak when I have to." That was the problem. Fluency can't survive without oxygen, and the oxygen of language is use. So we changed one rule in his life. He had to speak English at least 15 minutes every day, no matter what. Some days he read news aloud. Some days he recorded voice notes describing his day. Some days he talked to his reflection in the mirror. After 3 months, his hesitation vanished. He said, "It's like my brain finally trusts English." That's what happens when you practice daily. Your brain stops doubting itself. Trust is a big word here. You have to trust yourself. Every learner has that moment when doubt creeps in. Maybe I'll never be fluent. Maybe it's too late. Don't believe that lie. The human brain never stops learning. You're not too old. You're not too slow. You're not too late. You're just at a different chapter in your story. The people who become fluent are not those who start earliest, but those who never stop. So if today you feel behind, remember, you're only behind the person who quit. Fluency also means learning how to listen with purpose. Passive listening, like playing English in the background, helps, but active listening transforms you. When you listen, focus on patterns. Notice how speakers connect ideas, use fillers, pause, or emphasize certain words. Try repeating what they say right after, not perfectly, but with energy. Each repetition tunes your ear and voice together. Another underestimated skill is reaction speed, the ability to respond instantly. You can train it like a reflex. Open a random YouTube comment section, pick a comment, and respond to it out loud as if you're in a conversation. Don't plan, just speak. Or take a list of common questions. What do you do for fun? What's your dream job? What do you think about social media? And answer them out loud, recording yourself. At first, you'll hesitate. After a week, you'll notice your brain starts delivering words faster. That's fluency being built in real time. Now, let's touch on pronunciation, not the fancy, perfect kind, but the clear and confident kind. When you speak, open your mouth fully. Articulate. Don't mumble. Confidence comes from clarity, and clarity comes from movement. Pronunciation is physical, it's not just mental. Feel how English sounds are produced. Watch videos on mouth positions. Practice tricky sounds, th, v, r, l. And don't be shy to exaggerate them when you practice. You're training muscles. Just like working out, exaggeration in practice leads to natural performance later. As you continue your journey, notice your relationship with silence. Many learners fear pauses because they think silence means weakness. But even native speakers pause. They breathe, they think, they adjust. Pauses give your listener time to absorb your words. So don't rush. Let silence be your ally. Speak slower if needed. Fluency isn't speed, it's smoothness. You don't need to sound fast, you need to sound free. And as you practice, keep your environment positive. Surround yourself with English energy. Change your phone settings to English. Follow English pages on social media. Comment in English. Read quotes in English. Create small moments of immersion throughout your day. If you make English part of your lifestyle, you'll never have to find time to study. It'll already be woven into everything you do. At this point in your journey, you might face what I call the fluency fog. That's the period when you feel stuck. You're not a beginner anymore, but you don't feel fluent either. You understand a lot, but you still hesitate. It's frustrating. You might think you're not improving, but actually, you're on the edge of a breakthrough. Fluency fog is your brain reorganizing itself. Keep pushing through it. Every sentence you speak, every word you write, Every minute you listen is part of that transformation. One day you'll wake up and realize, the fog lifted. You're thinking and speaking in English without forcing it. If you ever lose motivation, remember why you started. Maybe it's to study abroad, to get a better job, to travel, or simply to express yourself freely. Whatever your reason, visualize it every time you speak. Feel it. Motivation fades, but purpose lasts. Let your purpose pull you forward when discipline feels hard. I want you to imagine your future self, standing confidently, speaking English easily, connecting with people across the world, expressing ideas that once lived only in your mind. That version of you is real. It's waiting. Every time you practice, you step closer. So don't stop now. Fluency is more than words flowing from your mouth, it is confidence flowing from your heart. When English begins to feel natural, something deeper awakens inside you. You stop seeing it as a foreign skill and start feeling it as a second heartbeat. Every time you speak, you bring a new version of yourself to life, one that is brave, expressive, and unafraid of being heard. At this stage of your journey, the goal is not to chase perfection but to strengthen presence. True fluency isn't about never pausing or never stumbling, it is about staying calm and connected even when you do. It's about communicating meaning, emotion, and personality. You are not a robot built to recite grammar, you are a human being built to connect. That connection starts with storytelling. Begin telling your stories in English, moments from your childhood, a funny day at school, the biggest lesson you've learned, the dream that still keeps you awake at night. When you tell stories, your language gains soul. You stop thinking about rules and start thinking about life. Every time you share a memory or a feeling, English becomes more yours, and your fluency grows stronger. Language loves emotion. The more emotion you bring, the more alive your English sounds. Don't say I was sad. Say I felt like the world was gray. Don't say it was good. Say it was so good I couldn't stop smiling. Feel your words before you say them. That energy turns ordinary sentences into living speech. If you want your English to sound natural, focus on rhythm. English moves like music, beats, stresses, and pauses. You can practice this by reading aloud, not to study but to perform. Choose a paragraph that moves you and read it with feeling. Stretch your voice, rise and fall, let emotion shape sound. When rhythm and meaning meet, fluency blooms. As you practice, record yourself. At first, you might dislike the sound of your voice, but that's where real improvement hides. Listening back teaches you more than any grammar book can. You start to notice patterns, how you stress words, where you rush, where you hesitate. With time, you will love the way your voice tells your story in English. Accent? Let it stay. It's your signature. You don't need to erase where you come from to sound fluent. Clarity matters more than imitation. Speak clearly, open your mouth, articulate your sounds. Confidence is not in copying, it is in owning your sound. Every accent is proof of courage, the courage to learn, to speak, to connect across worlds. There will still be moments of silence, moments when words hide. That's okay. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Even native speakers pause to breathe, to think, to feel. Use pauses as punctuation for thought, not as proof of failure. Speak slowly if you must. Fluency is not speed, it is flow. The more English you live with, the more naturally it lives in you. Let it fill the corners of your day. Listen to songs and understand the stories behind them. Watch films not for subtitles but for emotions. Read something small every morning. Write a few lines every night. Keep English alive like a daily conversation with yourself. You will reach a moment when English stops being something you switch on and off. It will become a quiet companion that walks beside you. You'll think of an idea, and the words will appear instantly, like old friends. That's not magic, it's consistency. Every little act, every repetition, every brave attempt adds up to that effortless moment. When frustration arrives, and it will, remember that even in silence, you are growing. Every struggle is a seed. Every mistake is a message. Growth hides inside difficulty. The people who speak beautifully today once doubted themselves exactly as you do now. They simply refused to quit. Keep going when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. If you ever lose motivation, return to your why. Picture yourself using English for what truly matters to you, to study abroad, to travel freely, to work confidently, to connect deeply. Feel that future every time you practice. Purpose gives power to persistence. You are already fluent in effort, fluent in curiosity, fluent in the courage to keep learning. English is just the instrument through which that courage sings. Don't wait for permission to call yourself fluent. Start living as the fluent person you are becoming. Use English to live, not only to learn. Tell jokes in it. Argue in it. Dream in it. Laugh in it. Make it part of your life, not part of your schedule. The more real experiences you attach to English, the more it becomes a reflection of who you are. Stay curious. Curiosity keeps fluency alive. Explore new topics, listen to different accents, read about ideas that challenge you. Each discovery sharpens your understanding and keeps your English fresh. The moment you stop exploring, your language starts to sleep. Keep it awake by feeding it wonder. There will be days when you feel unstoppable, words spilling effortlessly, thoughts shining clearly. And there will be days when sentences stumble and confidence flickers. Both belong to the same journey. Fluency is a living rhythm, not a final state. You dance with it, sometimes gracefully, sometimes clumsily, but always forward. Look at how far you've already come. Think back to the first time you tried to speak and couldn't find the words. Then remember how easily you understand now, how freely you express ideas. Progress is already in motion. You're standing on the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Take a moment to appreciate that. Teaching what you've learned is another way to grow. Share tips, correct friends gently, talk about what works for you. When you explain something in English, you activate your language in a deeper way. Teaching turns learning into mastery. Even a small conversation can reinforce everything you've built. And above all, trust yourself. You've done the hardest part already, you started. You kept going when it was uncomfortable. You spoke when your voice shook. You learned to think, to feel, and to express in a new language. That bravery is what fluency is made of. English is now your second voice. It doesn't replace your first, it expands it. It gives you another way to tell your story, another way to connect, another way to grow. You carry two worlds in your mind now, and that is extraordinary. So keep speaking. Keep listening. Keep living English until it feels like breathing. Let mistakes be music, let fear become fuel, let effort become pride. Every word you say is proof that you are transforming. One day, without realizing it, you'll find yourself laughing with friends in English, expressing complex ideas, comforting someone, telling your truth, and it will feel natural. That day will come because you earned it, step by step, word by word, conversation by conversation. Your journey doesn't end here, it simply continues in every sentence you speak. Keep building your world in English. Let it be your bridge to people, to opportunities, to dreams you haven't even imagined yet. You already have everything you need, the desire, the discipline, and the voice. Fluency isn't a destination waiting ahead, it's the path you're walking right now. Every step, every sound, every moment of courage is part of it. You are not becoming fluent, you are fluent in becoming.